guy, eBay Fight Predictions in the building, and this is your Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint-Denis film study breakdown in the lightweight division in the co-main event of UFC 299. Phenomenal fight. I love it. I hate on Dustin Poirier a lot, and I just got to give him credit for taking this fight. I think Benoit Saint-Denis has a lot of potential to be your next lightweight champion, and a lot of potential to go out there and beat Islam Makhachev. My bad. But will he do it? I don't know. But that's what I think he can do and what he can accomplish. And what he's shown so far has been perfection in the lightweight division in particular. His performances have been great. I mean, right now, currently, since his loss to back in the almost, was it 2020? No, it wasn't 2020. It was I think 2021, basically 2 years ago. He's on a 5-fight win streak. I'm pretty sure he is, and he has just looked really, really good. And I've been really impressed with him lately. Now Dustin Poirier, on the other hand, he's coming off a loss to Justin Gaethje. And honestly, the storyline of this fight in particular is someone defending their spot. And Dustin Poirier is defending his spot. He is gatekeeping for the younger guy to see if the younger guy can make it to top 5 status, to #1 contender status. And honestly, if Benoit Saint-Denis finds himself with a victory over Dustin Poirier, who says he's not fighting for the belt next? It is what it is. But obviously, if Dustin Poirier does win this fight, it puts him right back in the discussion. He beat a really legit prospect, and he's right back in those #1 contender title fights, so he can fight Islam Makhachev for the 155-pound division and title. So those are good things for him. But I think it's just that kind of simple in terms of the storyline, but in terms of this fight in particular, it's a barn burner. And yeah, I told you guys, I hate Dustin Poirier. So you know me, I'm rooting for Benoit Saint-Denis to go out there and finish Dustin Poirier. But I really love this fight, and I think it's going to be a barn burner. So let's talk about the tail of the tape before we get into that film study breakdown, baby. Dustin Poirier comes with a record of 29-8. A lot of goddamn fights. Is a slight underdog by plus 145, which I think is pretty fair. Age 35, fights out of Coconut Creek, Florida. Age 5'9". No, a height of 5'9", my bad. And I reach a 73.0. Benoit Saint-Denis comes with a record of 13-1. Is the slight favorite by minus 175, which is fair. Age 28, is fighting out of France. A height of 5'11", and a reach of 73. So they have the same reach. He's a little taller than Dustin Poirier and Benoit Saint-Denis. But one of the biggest things that kind of pop out to me is the age. Benoit's obviously 28 years old, entering his prime. Dustin Poirier is 35. That kind of means you're leaving your prime. He's still kind of there. Obviously, he looked good in his last fight. I'm not going to say he looked horrible or he's looking old. But stylistically, this isn't the best match. He's fighting a grappler. And we'll kind of talk about it in the film study breakdown on why that's a bad thing for Dustin Poirier. But here's the thing. So besides that, though, even though he is 35 years old, that does come with experience. So he does have the experience edge here. And so it kind of evens out. On Tapology, the community is kind of rocking with Benoit Saint-Denis. It's 56% for Benoit Saint-Denis and 44% for Dustin Poirier. So it's pretty close on how people are kind of feeling about the matchup. But obviously, people edge Benoit Saint-Denis to get the victory. Now, here's the thing. How I did the film study breakdown, I obviously I did a 3-fight set for both guys. Obviously, we looked at one fight where they fought a common opponent and they did really good, and we looked at another fight where they fought a common opponent and they did kind of bad. And then obviously, at last but not least, we look at their most recent fight on how it kind of plays to the matchup. And that's how we kind of did the film study breakdown. Now, obviously, we got to talk about the newcomer and Benoit Saint-Denis. And let's start off with his film study breakdown. So I looked at a common opponent where he did bad against to Dustin Poirier. And obviously, I think we all kind of know what fight I'm talking about is the Zaleski Dos Santos fight. In this fight, obviously, he was debuting. He was fighting up a weight class. And I thought he looked okay in moments, right? He got the big takedown here. He showed his toughness, especially. But Zaleski Dos Santos was able to reverse a lot of the takedowns and a lot of the grappling, was able to get up. And he did such a great job of dealing with Saint Denis's pressure. And Dos Santos is a good grappler himself. But Benoit, he tried to pressure him and he got countered way too much. And he tried to wrestle at moments, and Dos Santos did a good job of countering. And the problem was in the boxing department, Dos Santos had to beat the counters were there, and that's as a Dustin Poirier, let's say picker. You're looking at this kind of fight in particular. You're like, wow, Dustin Poirier is a good southpaw, has really good counters, has a really good rear hook and a good cross. What will Dustin Poirier do to this guy when you see Dos Santos literally destroying him in the pocket and literally had people contemplating if this fight should have been stopped a lot earlier and were pissed at the ref. But obviously, Saint Denis showed how good of a chin he has and was able to take those punches from him. But it was just the counter ability of Dos Santos that was just such a problem for Saint Denis. If he cannot fix those holes he showed in that first fight, Dustin Poirier will play games with him. Dustin Poirier is considered by many one of the best boxers in the game right now for MMA. Has some of the best hands, some of the best counters. Has some of the best accuracy and boxing placement at 155 pounds right now. And Dos Santos was able to destroy Saint Denis with good accuracy with his boxing, and just he just was he had better placement with his punches, and he just always caught Saint Denis at the end of his punches, and he just was beating him up like this was a beatdown of a century. And he did a really good job of just being the better striker here. He didn't let Saint Denis do anything. He just turned him into a punching bag, and if you do this against Dustin Poirier at 155 pounds, you're kind of done, man. And Dos Santos, he ended up inking this decision via 30-27 and was better here and ended up winning the fight. And Saint Denis tried to grapple a little bit near the end, and it just didn't really work out for him too well. And Dos Santos did a really good job of distancing himself from Saint Denis in this fight and ended up winning this fight 30-27. I know they kind of took a point from him, but he ended up winning the fight anyway. So, but as you kind of look back at this fight, things I can really tell from it is that the boxing needed work from Saint Denis. And if I'm Dustin Poirier, I'm looking at this fight, I'm like, wow, okay, he had a lot of success. He had a lot of success in the pocket against this guy and made him look like a nobody. So it's kind of a bad look for Saint Denis, but I do think he's completely improved because at lightweight he fought a really good power puncher and Ismail Bonfim and had completely different results. And this is the Benoit Saint-Denis that I'm a fan of, and I picked him in this fight, and everyone called me crazy. Obviously, Bonfim, really good power puncher, and he can throw a lot in the pocket, so you have to kind of respect him. But Benoit did a good job of throwing body kicks to neutralize his power punching, and he threw it. He constantly threw that body kick, man. And Benfam was like this, bring it, bring it. But Benoit just destroyed him with body kicks. And obviously, you can see here his striking got a lot better since the Dos Santos fight. And obviously, lower at at 155 pounds at a lower weight class, he looked a lot better. Was able to beat him in the grappling sense. I was impressed by that. Mounted Bonfim, and it's his relentlessness in the wrestling that really, in my humble opinion, is he's able to separate himself from a lot of these guys. And now Bonfim did a good job of getting back up. I will give him that. He looked good there, and he landed some good punches. Good overhand here by Bonfim, but it was the body kicks and the relentless pressure of Benoit Saint-Denis, and his ability to chain wrestle was just too much for Bonfim here, man. He just looked too good. And then when he got the back, man, it was kind of all she wrote, man. And Bonfim was just so gassed. And it's kind of crazy how at the end of the round he broke him down. And Bonfim hasn't competed ever since Benoit Saint-Denis put that pressure on him and showed him that French relentless pressure and broke him down, showed him that God of War bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Gave him that problem. And he ended up getting him out of there and submitted him. And this could be Dustin Poirier. You know what I'm saying? This could look like Dustin Poirier in the near future. You know what I'm saying? And Benoit Saint-Denis destroyed Bonfim with pressure, body kicks, and wrestling, and he made it look easy. Now, obviously, let's talk about his most recent fight, his Matt Frevola fight. Now, obviously, Matt Frevola and Dustin Poirier on two different levels, but Benoit Saint Denis made quick work of him. Obviously, the signature body kick was there, but Matt Frevola got takedowns here. But it was what Saint Denis was able to do from his guard was to pull guard and get sweeps. And I was impressed by how many times he swept Matt Frevola, and he had no concern about the wrestling. Even though Matt got these big takedowns, he still was able to get back up or sweep him and kind of control the pacing of this fight. And what he does here was just beautiful. Just the way he placed this high kick to finish Matt Frevola here was insane. And here's the thing about him. He's always getting better. That's what I love about Benoit Saint-Denis. He is getting better. His striking is always getting better, and his grappling is always going to be there, and he's just going to be constantly relentless. He just comes with this insane cardio and this insane mentality that I'm going to break you before I break. You know what I'm saying? Before I gas out. I'm going to make sure you turn into mush before you have any chance of turning me to mush. You know what I'm saying? And he just does a great job of that. And that's what I love about Benoit Saint-Denis in this matchup. Now, obviously, as we look at the film and we talk about everything we just saw, we can look at everything. We saw this Lesky dos Santos performance. We saw the Bonfim performance, and we saw the Matt Frevola performance. Now, obviously, when we look at it, we can tell the bad things that he did is obviously he has to work on his boxing, and he did that. And as I look at the keys of victory for Benoit Saint-Denis, I look at two things: his defense, his pressure, and his pace. And those are the keys of victory for Benoit Saint-Denis against Dustin Poirier, because we know Dustin Poirier doesn't like grapplers. We've seen him lose to grapplers, and he's lost to guys with good defense, guys that can defend the shots properly, and obviously he isn't the best of. I won't say he has cardio issues because he doesn't, but we've seen guys pace him, and he breaks down, especially with a grappling pace. He breaks down. We saw it in the Khabib Nurmagomedov fight, which I'm going to talk about later, where he broke down due to wrestling pressure and pace. And if you can outpace him in that kind of category, he breaks down, he gives up, and he gets submitted. You know, we saw Charles Oliveira do that to him just recently. So if Benoit Saint-Denis can replicate those things in those situations, then he should be very fine, in my opinion, in this matchup. Now, as we talk about Dustin Poirier, I think we all know about Dustin Poirier. You know, former interim champion, has wins over Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje, Eddie Alvarez. His resume speaks for himself. Everyone likes to talk about his damn resume, so I don't need to talk about it. Now, some of you guys might wonder, if you haven't watched the channel enough, why I don't like Dustin Poirier. I think he's a weird, condescending dude. I think he's weirdly passive aggressive. He talks shit to you, but gives you props at the same time. We saw what he did with Dan Hooker, where he's just talking mess to him. Like, I think it's retarded. Dan is just completely depleted, gassed out, and you're just talking mess to him, saying, "Don't count your chickens, bro." You know what I'm saying? So I think that's weird. He was talking mess to Michael Chandler. I just think he's a weird guy, and I don't like guys like that. So, am I rooting against him? Big time. Do I think he's a garbage fighter? Hell no. He's one of the better fighters at 155 pounds, and a perennial number one contender kind of fighter. He's fought for the belt twice, and he's fought for interim title once and won. So, and he has a win over Max Holloway, who's at the time was at 145-pound champion. So I think Dustin Poirier is a high level fighter, but I just think he's a weird dude. And now let's talk about his Khabib Nurmagomedov fight. He obviously fought a really good grappler. Now Khabib is an all-time great, so you kind of can give him a break here. But Khabib was just able to put the pressure on him and put him against the fence. And even though Dustin would try to switch and try to get out of positions, just Khabib would keep following him and just ride him like a dog, basically. Ride him like a horse, as those Dagestanis like to say. And he just broke him down. Just through back control pressure and just good grappling pressure. It didn't matter how many times Dustin tried to get the switch. Khabib just kept following him and would get full mount and just break him down. Now Dustin had his moments here. He had moments of striking where he landed a good punch here. Now Dustin is a deceptively good puncher. I would say he's a good power of volume puncher than anything, but he's able to hurt Khabib here and had him staggered. But Khabib obviously put the grappling on him and constantly get these these takedowns and double legs, and just broke him down, man. And just Dustin couldn't do anything. He was a broken man, and Dustin showed how broken he was when he went for the guillotine here. He thought he had it. He really thought he had a guillotine here, and some people thought it was close. And I know Khabib said it was pretty close too, but I could tell after Dustin couldn't get this guillotine, it was all she wrote. Basically, he was a dead man, and when Khabib got out of there, it was a wrap, man. And don't get it twisted, it was a tight guillotine. It was, but it was a wrap. Dustin, that was his last like kind of stand right there, and he kind of broke down, gave his back basically, and he was too tired. And Khabib got the back, ended up submitting him, and yeah, that's all she wrote. And that's kind of been Dustin Poirier's kind of story, right? Like he gets to the belt, or he fights for the belt, and he just comes up short every time, and that's just kind of been his history. Now, Dustin Poirier has fought grapplers before and won. I'm not gonna say like his kryptonite is grappling, like you saw in his most recent fight against Michael Chandler. Chandler, obviously good D1 wrestler out of I think Missouri, and Chandler tried to get takedowns, and Dustin did a better job of defending most of it. But Chandler did a good job of putting pressure on Dustin early, putting him against the fence, and just breaking him down with good boxing and good pressure boxing. That's something I think Benoit Saint-Denis needs to look at. And I thought, Chandler did really good. Until he wasn't. It's weird. Like he did really good in this fight, just putting the pressure on him, unloading good power punches. He even got a takedown here. And I just thought he did really good in this fight. He even got like a German suplex on Dustin, which was kind of cool. This was a crazy fight, I remember, but this let Dustin kind of get back up here. And when they exchanged, obviously you could tell there was a difference in the boxing, and he punished Chandler here with a beautiful counter, dropped him good, and he kind of got his get back at the end of the round, and he got him against the cage and just broke Chandler down. I thought he was going to finish Chandler eventually, but and that's the thing. Like this is kind of reminiscent of what Dos Santos did to Benoit Saint Denis, and this is what Benoit has to avoid at all costs, is to just get battered against the fence and become a punching bag. Has to show good defense. And honestly, what saved Chandler was the bell being ended. That being the end of the first round, that being the last few seconds of the first round was what saved him. And he did a good job of rebounding, especially in the second round. He got the takedowns, got the wrestling, and he just manhandled. I thought Dustin Poirier in this fight, especially in the second round, he definitively won it with grappling and wrestling. And, he got good ground and pound here. I know Dustin Poirier had a problem with that. He thought it was back of the head, and, he thought he was doing a lot of bullshit. But I thought Chandler was just beating him, and I think he didn't like that. That's what I think happened, and he wasn't too much of a fan of that. And I just thought Chandler did a good job of putting pressure on him, and I think Benoit Saint Denis needs to look at that and be like, okay, yeah, I got to break him down. But obviously, Chandler did what Chandler does, and he got tired, gave the fight up, goes for the big single leg here. He gets it, like he got Dustin up, but it's just that transition of him trying to get the back, and Dustin just ended up getting back on top. And I give Dustin a lot of credit for this, being the first guy to submit Michael Chandler. It is something big, and he ended up choking him out, got the rear naked choke. And I mean, he fought a grappler, or a guy that does have a grappling ace, and he was able to beat him. So I give him credit for that. He needed a win like that, and it kind of defined him. But now, obviously, that isn't his last fight. That's his most recent fight, but that isn't his last fight. His last fight was against a guy named Justin Gaethje in their rematch. And I told you guys Justin was gonna whoop this dude, bro. I told y'all. I told y'all. I told y'all. Now a lot of people might not think I was right, but I was fucking right. Okay. And it went the way it went. And it is what it is. Now Dustin did pretty all right in this first round, but you could tell Gaethje was a different fighter than that first fight, and Gaethje's counters were a lot better. His timing was a lot better, and it was a more honest fight from both guys. And I thought Gaethje was winning that first round, honestly, until kind of Dustin hurt him a little bit here. But besides that, like I thought Gaethje was beating him in every facet of the game, and which ended up to him head kicking him to the goddamn stratosphere, and Herb Dean hitting him with the people's elbow. It was a beautiful place, head kick. Now, obviously, the fight was heating up. I think it was going to be a barn burner, but I just think Gaethje was just better, and he was a better power puncher here. Dustin Poirier is a good volume power puncher, but Gaethje has real legitimate one hitter quitter kind of power, like where he can knock people out. And I just think if that fight just would have went a little longer, it just would have went that way. And in my humble opinion, I think, yeah, maybe Gaethje wouldn't have got knocked out in the first round if this fight went a little longer, or you know what I'm saying? Like you never know how this fight would have went, but I just honestly feel like if this fight went a little longer than the second round, I just think Gaethje would have beat him. No matter what, I just think Gaethje was on his way to knocking him out. That's just how I see that fight going. But it is what it is. It's his most recent fight, and he got knocked out. Now, in terms of keys of victory for Dustin Poirier, we all know his boxing has to be on point. His counters have to be on point, and we know Benoit Saint-Denis isn't as good of a boxer as him. It doesn't have the hands he has, isn't as experienced as he is. So obviously, it's his boxing, his experience that are going to get him through this fight, and I feel like those are his keys of victory. And that's how I kind of see it for Dustin Poirier, is those two things that are going to help him really win that fight. But I don't think he's going to win. I think the Frenchman is going to beat Dustin Poirier. I got 100 plus, not 100 plus, 10 plus units. I said 100 plus units, 10 plus units on Benoit Saint-Denis' money line. Now, do I think Dustin Poirier has a chance? Of course, anyone has a chance in this game. I think the boxing placement, if you watch the Dos Santos fight, that's kind of how Dos Santos won. Was the boxing placement, was the counters. But I just think if you've seen Dustin Poirier's whole entire career, when he fights a good grappler, he kind of loses. And if you watch the just Charles Oliveira fight, Charles was able to out pressure him, outwork him, break him down. And I personally feel like Dustin Poirier's gonna lose. I just truly believe that. And I think Benoit Saint-Denis' grappling pressure is going to be too much for him, and I think he breaks him down in there, and I think he gets him out of there in the third round. I got Benoit Saint-Denis via round and pound TKO finish, and I think he breaks Dustin Poirier and he ends his career and retires that man. I think it's going to be a great fight. I can't wait for it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That is your film study breakdown. This is your boy eBay Fight Prediction. I'm out of here. I love y'all, and goodbye. See y'all.
YouTube channel. I'm going to go check that out. And, hey, subscribe to eBay's Fight Prediction. Let's keep the eBay Fight Predictions Nation growing.